the weather forecast with C3 Production.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. It's good to have you for this brand new edition of the weather forecast. Most people will feel slight discomfort this evening due to heat wave. However, we're expecting calm weather in the national territory. We'll have a minimum temperature of 15 degrees in the Adamo region, 16 in the northwest, the west, and the north, as well as in the far north region, 17 degrees in the east region, and a maximum 25 degrees will be expected in the littoral and part of the south region. For details, follow me to the far north region, where it will be clear skies dominating in the evening, and in the morning the same weather condition is likely to prevail. We'll have a minimum temperature of 11 degrees. Next, let's go to the center region, where it will be partially cloudy this evening, and the same weather condition is likely to prevail. We have minimum temperature of 17 degrees. Let's end now with the east region, where in Bertoua, Baturi, Abongbang, and Yokaduma, it will be partially cloudy and 0% of precipitation until the morning. Ladies and gentlemen, I invite you to find time and go visit the Ekomkam waterfalls. Have a good night. God bless you. Take good care of yourselves.
Despite state-of-the-art structures, Cameroon football is still making headlines for wrong reasons, with the various players tasked with managing the sports called to get their act together. In our newsroom dossier, we talk about the ups and downs of football in Cameroon. With the growing number of private security companies in the country, there are fears that the activities are a threat to national unity, to national security. In our investigative page tonight, we take a look at the problems in the sector and envisaged solutions. Plus, can many Christians worldwide observe Ash Wednesday today, the period which marks the start of Lent, characterized by fasting, prayer and almsgiving, a reminder of human mortality and the need for penitence. And those are top stories. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thanks for joining us on this edition of the 7:30 News with me, Gladys Tata.
Despite our efforts, COVID-19 plunged many families into mourning and seriously hampered the functioning of our economy and society.
In his continuous quest to have an up-to-date football stadium constructed nationwide, President Paul Biya, under his stewardship, has supervised the construction and renovation of some stadia in Yaoundé, Douala, Limbe, Garoua, and Bafoussam. Stadiums like the Olembe Complex and the Japoma Stadium in Douala are glaring examples of outstanding football stadia Cameroon has been blessed with under President Paul Biya's reign. Baldwin Samanal tells us more in the following report.
It stands out tall as one of the greatest football stadia the country has been blessed with under President Paul Biya's auspices. The Japoma Stadium in the nation's economic capital, which today is a reference in Africa as far as a quality sports infrastructure is concerned. Eager to have football played on quality stadia that match international standards, President Paul Biya's stewardship has provided this befitting sports jewel. Still in Douala, the renovated reunification stadium is today a perfect example of a modern stadium thanks to the head of state's quest to modernize already existing infrastructure. The Bafoussam and Limbe Omnisport Stadia stand out unique as fruits of the head of state's vision of a modernized country with sports facilities.
We should understand the progress we have made, and we should protect this to ensure that these properties are kept They should not be vandalized.
I wish to thank President Paul Biya and all Cameroonians for the huge investment. It is for the African youth and not only Cameroonians.
The Yaoundé Omnisport Stadium is another example of a beautiful edifice renovated under the special auspices of President Paul Biya. And why not talk about the Rumdi Adja Stadium in Garoua, ready and waiting for the 2021 Africa Cup of Nations. Perhaps unique in its quality is the Olembe Sports Complex, a stadium when open will be a reference in Africa and the world. Alongside these stadia are the different training facilities in Yaoundé, Douala, Limbe and Boya, ready for any competition.
It is almost 7 years now that the National Football Academy, FUD, has been existing. Created by presidential decree, it has been an arena of harnessing young football talents whose missions are to defend the country's colors in future top-notch competitions. The academy, in brief, depicts President Paul Biya's sportsmanship in making Cameroon a reservoir of football prowess. Romeo Kenny tells us more.
The creation of the National Football Academy in 2014 by President Paul Biya came to reshape the dynamo of detecting football talent in the country. 7 years after, more than 1,300 kids are proudly registered in the academy, and the scouting process is yielding fruit.
When they are playing their football, they can make career, and also they are supposed to go at school.
It's a state-owned academy. We are working with experts. Our main target is to make sure the dream of these players come true.
Through this vision, the head of state gives equal opportunities to all young stars, irrespective of backgrounds, ambitious to make football a lifetime career. This move also enables put aside huge financial obligations and impromptu shutdowns from most existing private-owned academies.
We have succeeded in training team managers. We also train video analysts. We succeeded already in sending one of our boys in Manchester City.
With the aid of partners, Anafoot management is confident harnessing a diversiform armada of soccer skills, hence making Cameroon a reservoir of football prowess.
Well, I'm receiving at this moment the editor-in-chief at the Central Desk. Good evening, Benin.
Good evening to you, Gladys.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Well, President Paul Biya, in his address to the youth last February 10th, Benin called on the youth to properly handle the sports infrastructure in Cameroon. But Benin, you say this calls for a sense of responsibility from every Cameroonian?
Matter of fact, you already know that as far as sports infrastructure is concerned, Cameroon stands out. As a matter of fact, Cameroon outclasses other countries as far as sports infrastructure is concerned. You've gotten it from the president of CAF, Ahmed, Gianni Infantino, and the others. But now is the moment, like President Paul Biya saying, that it is time for us to take care of this infrastructure. You understand that in an African context, a father always hands down something to a son.
Legacy, what you
like a legacy, and you keep it, and tomorrow you tell your son, I got this from my father, who got this from his father, who got this from his father before him. If there is anything you want to really preserve, is you want to preserve what your father gave unto you. And President Paul Biya stands like a great father who has supervised the construction of many beautiful stadiums, especially the Japoma Stadium, and we're talking about the Olembe Stadium that will be used for the African Nations Cup. So when he says we should take good care of it, it is now our responsibility, it is now the responsibility of football administrators in the country to be able to take great care of this. It is at this level that I seem to agree with Boniface Fontem Kobena and many others who have associated President Paul Biya's political ideology to that of Jesus Christ. In his book, Sacerdotal Politics and System Sustainability, the Paul Biya Paradigm, he compares Paul Biya's political ideology to that of Jesus Christ. Jesus will heal somebody and say, go and sin no more, as in take care of your miracle. And now he builds the infrastructure and say, take care of it because Africa is watching.
Okay, Ben, and the president has equally called on football administrators to do all, for the championship to resume. In this case, they should respect the president's political ideology, which is one of inclusion.
We just talked about President Paul Biya's political ideology. If you follow the politics in the country, you'll notice that in his democratic principles, the president does for his own good. It is not for his person, because I imagine that there are a lot of people who have insulted Paul Biya, but they're working in his government. There are a lot of people who criticize him, lampoon the president, but they're in his government. It is a political ideology of inclusion, because we're looking at the greater good. Now, when the president is speaking to football administrators, calling on them to bury the hatchet and work together for the common good of the sport, is actually telling them that this is a time to include those who do not even think like you, if at all you are the one running the FA, or you're the one at the at the helm of the professional football league. Today the news is disturbing. Two factions of FECAFOOT fighting for the start of the championship, and then presidents of the football teams are saying that they will start the championship. There is a lot of disorder, and this is where the call of the president comes in. Lay aside the hatchet, lay aside your egocentric disposition, egomaniacal disposition, and work for the common good. The moment they get to work for the common good, as the president calls, we are going to get to a destination where it is going to be for the good of football of the entire country.
What next?
What next? I followed clearly the president of the Sports and Olympic and Sports Committee, Kalkaba Malbomu, says it is time for both internal and external stakeholders to come together. Internal stakeholders are football administrators, FECAFOOT, those in the ministry, and those in the professional football league. External stakeholders are you and me, and all the board and other persons that are connected to football, to come together and speak one language, and it is the language of football. How can the football in the country develop? They should forget about what they are supposed to receive or not receive. Forget about money. After that, they can look at money. But let the football in the country go ahead. Let everybody speak in one language, and football will go on.
Thank you very much, Benin.
Thank you very much, Gladys.
And that is the editor-in-chief of Central Desk.
Thank you very much.
Thank you once more for being here. Well, we continue with this newscast to talk on Cameroon's under-20 Football Lions have defeated Uganda 1-0 in their second Group A match at the ongoing under-20 African Cup of Nations. With this victory, the under-20 Football Lions have qualified for the second round of the competition. Baldwin Sama has highlights of the match in this report.
Pour les Camerounais, avec un ballon encore une fois qui a du mal à lever, mais là par contre c'est dedans. Oh, quel but!
A second victory in their second outing as Cameroon's under-20 Football Lions consolidates their leadership position in Group A with this victory. The Hippos of Uganda came calling at the 10th minute of play as Basengwa failed to concretize this scoring opportunity. Cameroon's domination paid off through this corner kick with Junior Sunday's connecting header that gave Cameroon the lead.
Avec un ballon encore une fois qui a du mal à lever, mais là par contre c'est dedans. Oh, quel but! La tête sur ce corner, le Cameroun qui ouvre le score, et c'est lui, Sundell Junior.
The second half of the match saw the Hippos of Uganda squander a golden opportunity to level scores at the 69th minute. Both teams were subjected to a rendition of squandered scoring opportunities. After 90 minutes of play, the under-20 Football Lions had secured 3 points as they now top Group A with 6 points, already qualified for the quarterfinals before their last group match this Saturday against Mozambique.
Away from sports, in recent times, the problems connected to private security in Cameroon have gone under scrutiny, with observers arguing that if not well regulated, the sector could pose threats to national security. With 25 such agencies authorized to function in Cameroon and the possibility of recruiting up to 80,000 agents, many say there is need for order. Killian Dandifon tells us how in the following report.
The first problem with private security is that its operational staff has the basic defense and security training. It is a problem because it can easily be used as the other side of the coin against Republican values. Clear examples come from defected or retired uniformed persons who have found themselves within the ranks of bandits and terrorists and are giving sleepless nights to innocent citizens as well as defense and security forces. Some owners of private security agencies do not respect the quotas prescribed by government. Hence, false declaration of staff strength and social security obligations. Compounded with low salaries, they are vulnerable to deviant calls that can produce money at the expense of national security. Given that the law permits one private security agency to employ up to 5,000 agents, the 25 authorized at full capacity can number up to a threatening 125,000 private security agents in Cameroon. By stepping up private security capacity in our environment with a high probability of manipulation, the immediate results could be positive. But when leakages occur and when examined in the long term, it is so sensitive a sector to let cracks develop on its walls.
A presidential decree of 12th February has authorized the Minister of Finance to raise 350 billion CFA francs in public securities, an exercise which will be launched on 24th February 2021. In the first quarter, the state is hoping to secure between 100 and 125 billion CFA francs funds, which will be used to execute development projects. Clarice Aritakang explains.
Out of the 4,865.2 billion CFA francs of Cameroon's 2021 state budget,
graduation is marked by various competitions. The outgoing batch has also left their mark at the Combined Services Military Academy, EMIA, with a souvenir signboard at the main entrance of the campus.
I urge you once again to put on your face masks, to wash your hands regularly, and to consult a physician or any other health personnel if you notice any symptoms. This is the only way to save lives and to curb the spread of the virus.
Travelers into Cameroon have expressed disgruntlement over the discrepancies they complain exist between COVID-19 tests done abroad and those done in Cameroon. To explain these differences, let's join Baldwin Sama at the Public Health Emergency Operations Center with his guest, Dr. Joseph Fokam. Hello, Baldwin.
Good evening, Gladys Tata. It remains a major concern for most travelers who wish to know the differences between COVID-19 screening, that which is being done in Cameroon, and others done out of the country. We try to find out from our guest tonight, Dr. Joseph Fokam, who is a virologist. Good evening to you, Doctor.
Good evening, Baldwin.
What are the major differences between screening carried out for COVID-19 here in Cameroon and others done out of the country?
Effectively, Baldwin, with respect to the World Health Organization recommendation, Cameroon is using the molecular testing approach to screen for those traveling out and into Cameroon with respect to COVID-19 infection. And why? Because this molecular testing is the PCR reference assay that detects the viral genome itself, which is the most highly sensitive testing approach. Other countries like in the US also accept antigen rapid testing within their framework, but to mitigate risk of infection, they retest those who come in their country 3 to 5 days thereafter. So in Cameroon, we don't really want to take any major risks. We test everybody coming with a PCR testing, and those coming even with a PCR result within 22 hours, we still make sure we do a rapid antigen testing. And based on this, Cameroon is really able to pick up the most of the cases that comes in with a positive infection.
All those explanations, you now have an idea as to what particular screening for COVID-19, the PCR screening for COVID-19, that is what is being carried out in Cameroon, quite different from what is being done in other countries. Back to you, Gladys Teta.
Thank you very much, Baldwin Sama, and hope to be in your company same time as usual tomorrow. A parliamentary commission of inquiry have expressed their dismay at the fact that work on the site to host the Bamenda Reference Hospital has been abandoned for the past 2 years. The team, led by Honorable Emmanuel Banmia, have vowed to resume at the site soonest. Eric Langmia Wufo has the details from Bamenda.
This is what is visible at the site to host the Bamenda Reference Hospital. Contracts were awarded to a Moroccan company, Alliance Construction Cameroon, in 2018. The contractual duration of 18 months has expired and works here have been abandoned.
Sometime in, I believe, 2018, November, we came to the site and we were told that the work was temporarily stopped because of security reasons. When I got back to the project manager, for Alliance, he said we should give you another couple of months. After a couple of months, and then from there, there was no communication.
A 5-strong parliamentary commission of inquiry has been to the site to evaluate works.
Out of the 14 structures that we previewed in the contract, only 7 has been taken to roofing level, and the other 7 are just at foundation level. And worst of all, the work has the site has been abandoned for reasons that we are yet to find out.
They have vowed to submit their findings to government with the aim of seeing works resumed at the site situated at the Quen neighborhood in Bamenda 3 subdivision.
And on to this lead story, Catholic Christians the world over have begun observing the Lent period with Ash Wednesday. The period is characterized by fasting and prayers in readiness for Easter. Alice May visited the Toussaint de Van parish and reports that it was a solemn mass. Alice?
The Catholic Christians of Toussaint de Van parish received the ash on their heads this morning. This tradition to the Catholic Christians is a sign of repentance and sincerity in Christ.
This day is a day which we begin the Lent period. We commemorate the suffering and death of Jesus Christ. We recognize we are weak and have sins. That is why we are purifying ourselves. Jesus fasted and prayed for 40 days in the desert to be free from sins, to move from an unclean soul to a clean soul.
The Lent period that will last about 5 weeks will enable Christians confess their sins and process their devotion to God as they prepare themselves for Easter.
And that does it on this edition. Thanks for watching. You'll be in the company of Evelyn Owona-Isomba at 8:30 for the news in French. I'll be back same time tomorrow. Until then, it's bye from all of us on the 7:30 crew. Good night.
Despite our efforts, COVID-19 plunged many families into mourning and seriously hampered the functioning of our economy and society.